Hello. Today is Friday, December 20th, 2024. This is a sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker, coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky, USA. The weather today, a mix of rain and snow showers, highs in the upper 30s and lows in the upper 20s. A state of emergency for bird flu in California. And currently here in Lexington, the temperature sits at 37 degrees and feels like 31. Expect tomorrow to be the next clear day. And temperatures a little bit lower today than yesterday, down by 5 degrees. Today here on the East Coast, sunrise was at 7:50 a.m. Sunset will be at 5:21 p.m. The wind, 9 miles per hour, and the AQI is moderate at 60. Again, this is a sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker, and if you're watching, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Friday, end of the week, heading into the Christmas holiday on Wednesday. Tomorrow is the first official calendar day of winter. And the news. Here in Lexington, I thought I was about to pass out. Man acquitted in Lexington murder trial reacts to verdict. As follows, Corey Jackson was acquitted by a Fayette County jury on Wednesday. He was on trial for the murder of Tamonte Harris last year, but after bombshell witness testimony where another man admitted to shooting Harris, a jury decided Jackson was innocent. And I'm including this because I do remember reporting on the case. It happened on Chestnut Street here in Lexington, which is a neighborhood, and 2 women were shot, and Corey was picked up near the scene and charged. So now we have the results of that investigation. And the man who admitted to it was already in jail for a murder and stepped forward to say that he was the shooter in Corey's case. So the video clip shows Corey being emotional, hands over the face, and his mother present in court threw her hands up and covered her face, and there was tears of joy shed around, or relief anyway. So we know in this country we have headlines involving sexual assaults, rape, drugs, everything else going on in the headlines. But this I also covered out of France, and now they're in trial in France. This man is accused of marrying a woman, and almost from the day one of the marriage, he was drugging her and allowing other men to come in and sexually assault her. So now this case has come to trial, and they are proceeding with it. What I was going to share with you about it is the fact that the involvement of it, and one of the things that the lady had said, the wife of the man, is that she did not want the trial to go on behind closed doors because that would be perpetrating what was being done to her for more than a decade, or at least for a decade. So again, this is out of France. So I am going to share it, so that you get the details and the understanding of it. And this was published 3 months ago in September, but it's being republished because of the spelling of the man's name. So here we go. Man accused of enlisting strangers to rape drug wife goes on trial in France. Dominique Perlico, 71, being tried with 50 other men over alleged abuse of women for years at couple's Providence home. A husband who allegedly drugged his wife and invited more than 80 strangers to rape her at their home for almost a decade went on trial on Monday in a case that has shocked France. 50 men accused of taking part in the abuse of the woman are also on trial at the in-court Avignon. More than a dozen protesters dressed all in black demonstrated outside the courthouse as the trial opened. Police say Dominique Perlico crushed sleeping tablets and anti-anxiety medication and mixed it into his wife Gacelle's evening meal or in her wine at their home in Masson near Capitreus in Provence. The father of 3 recruited men to rape and sexually abuse her from an online chat room where members fantasized about performing sexual acts on non-consenting partners. The presiding judge, Roger Abertoff, announced that all hearings would be public, granting Gacelle Perlico her wish for complete publicity until the end of the court case, according to one of her lawyers, Stephanie Bobinau. The trial would nonetheless be a horrible ordeal for her, said another of her lawyers, Antoine Camas. For the first time, she will have to live through the rapes that she endured over 10 years, he said Agence France-Presse, adding that his client had no recollection of the abuse that she discovered only in 2020. Gacelle Perlico, who arrived at the court supported by her 3 children, did not want a trial behind closed doors because that's what her attackers would have wanted, Camas said. The accused men, recruited by her husband, were instructed to avoid smelling of any kind of fragrance or cigarette smoke, to avoid alerting his wife, and to leave if she moved so much as an arm, investigators said. Dominique Perlico was arrested on 2nd November 2020 after a security guard caught him filming up the skirts of women in the local supermarket. Police found a file labeled abuses on a USB drive connected to his computer that contained 20,000 images and films of his wife being raped almost 100 times. Since his arrest, he also declared himself guilty, his lawyer said, adding that he had said, "I put her to sleep, I offered her, and I filmed." Health records reportedly show he obtained 450 sleeping pills in 1 year alone. The 50 men on trial with him include a local counselor, nurses, a journalist, a former police officer, a prison guard, soldier, firefighter, and civil servant, many of whom lived around Masson, a town of about 6,000 inhabitants. The men were aged between 26 and 73 at the time of their arrest. Several of the accused have denied the charges, telling police they had no idea Gacelle Perlico, who married Dominique Perlico in 1973, was not a willing partner, and accused him of tricking them. Detectives were unable to identify and trace more than 30 other men who were recorded. Investigators said she was devastated to learn of the abuse, saying she had no recollection whatsoever of being raped. She had been drugged almost to a state of coma, investigators added. One morning, she woke in a panic with a new haircut without understanding how this was possible. She went to her hairdresser, who told her she had been in the previous day, Bobinau said. He said his client, now divorced, had believed she had an illness nobody could explain and consulted several doctors, also accompanied by her husband, who blamed her symptoms on tiredness after looking after their grandchildren. Her 3 children and other relatives suspected she had Alzheimer's disease. The public prosecutor and lawyers for the defendants had asked for the trial to take place behind closed doors for reasons of decency and to protect all parties. The trial involves acts of extreme violence repeated over a period of 10 years or so. Photographs will be circulated, videos will be necessarily be viewed, and it appears that publicity would be dangerous for public decency and would undermine the dignity of the individuals, both victims and defendants, the prosecutor argued. But Giselle Pellico's lawyers objected. She wants people to know what happened to her and believes that she has no reason to hide. No one can imagine that my client will find any satisfaction in exposing what she has suffered. She wants this hearing to be open so that justice can be done in public, Bobineau said. Whether one likes it or not, this trial goes beyond the limits of this courtroom. And going behind closed doors also means asking my client to be locked in a place with those who attacked her. After deliberating, the 5 professional judges hearing the case ruled it should be held in public. Dominique Pellico is also accused of the rape and murder of a 23-year-old estate agent in Paris in 1991. Sophie Normay was drugged, raped, and stabbed in the chest. Another estate agent, 19, was attacked in similar circumstances, but escaped after fighting back. Police have said DNA extracted from blood at the scene matched his profile. The trial in Aragon is expected to last 4 months. Dominique, 71, and the 50 other defendants face 20 years in prison if convicted of aggravated rape. So I just thought I would let you know it's a tough read and probably even a tougher experience to have lived through. But when I first presented it to you, it was on the basis of the woman trying to figure out what was going on, going to doctors, and that's mentioned in this article. But that's the latest information about the case in France. The whole country is supportive, and the trial date is set. Back to America. If you noticed, I mentioned AOC up for position. And now we have a follow-up. AOC responds after surprisingly kind comments from Trump. You know, it's bad when even Trump is feeling bad for me. Trump's comment, someday she will be successful, Trump wrote in a sympathetic Truth Social post. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from New York. Continuing with the news, several arrested in big Kentucky drug bust operation. More than a dozen people have been rounded up in a big drug bust operation in southern Kentucky. Officials say the Laurel County Drug Interdiction, a word I've never seen used like this, task force arrested 17 people in a drug trafficking roundup following several months-long investigation. I think the ages were like from in 30s up to the 60s. Okay. In Louisville, here in Kentucky, LMPD lieutenant cites homeless woman in labor for unlawful street camping. As you know, earlier this year, there was laws being considered for unlawful camping for homeless people that just set up some means on the street. So this is related to that law and what was going on at the time. Also in the news, Reebok named Shaquille O'Neal president and Allen Iverson VP. I wonder if he gets jokes about AI. AI jokes. Anyway, Reebok named Shaquille O'Neal president and Allen Iverson VP of its basketball division. Now it's inked a multi-year WNBA partnership. I remember the first Reeboks that I owned. They were the indoor out ones, green and white, and they had this little button you could press to pump them up to make them fit tighter or closer. But they were a good pair. So Reebok is stepping up to the NBA. Next one, Jennifer Lopez at center of media frenzy. This I had to read several times so I could get the phrasing right on it. Excuse me. Jennifer Lopez at center of media frenzy as YouTuber BJ investigates. Says she might be celebrity B in Diddy and Jay-Z lawsuit. So, first of all, this is a YouTuber, not a legal counsel or someone empowered by law to make comments. Anyway, Jennifer Lopez has already been stated with the law case against Diddy that she was involved in a relationship with him at the time these other allegations were going on. And now that the witness against Jay-Z has recanted her testimony, there was like the celebrity A, celebrity B as to who's present. But to kind of clear it up a little bit, when the investigation was first launched, there was a list of people that were cited as being the persons primarily accused. And that's the list that I'm going to share with you now. Just have to look through my saved items, give me a second or two to get all this down. So this was in the news, dated, okay, there's a half a date on it. Well, this is filed from October 2024, all right? So, without getting all into it, it does mention like a celebrity A and so forth and so on. But Jay-Z was on the list, and we see how that went. And the names following his are Cuba Gooding Jr. Earlier this year, Cuba Gooding Jr. was added to a rape suit against Diddy by Rodney Jones, music producer. Jones, aka Little Rod. We'll just leave the accusations to another time. Aaron Hall, R&B songwriter and singer, was sued along with Diddy by Lisa Gardner for negligent infliction of emotional distress, sexual assault, and battery. Harvey Pierre, Bad Boy Records executive, John Combs, and another assailant was sued by the ex of an NHL hockey player, Anna Kane. So that one. And Christian King Combs, Diddy's son, was named along with his dad in a suit accusing the son of sexual assault and battery while on a yacht chartered by Diddy in 2022. And then Jacob the jeweler, according to Business Insider, Jacob Arabo, aka Jacob the jeweler, a celebrity jewelry designer, was named as a defendant within a complaint that was filed against Sean Combs last July. The complaint accused Diddy of sex trafficking, sexual harassment, and those things we are already familiar with. And then Young Miami, who once dated Diddy, is named in the rape suit that was filed by Jones as being part of his sex trafficking ring. And I think that pretty much covers it. So Jennifer Lopez's name is not included in the lawsuit. And then this one, again, another case of sexual abuse, but from a different perspective. It says, this brought me to tears. The U.S. court system finally dies when a woman is charged for recording her abuser without consent. And this is published December 19th, 2024. So here we go. A Pennsylvania woman says she was raped. When she showed police audio evidence of the assault, she was charged with several felonies after a judge said she made the recording without the man's consent. The article continues. Veronica Rodriguez, 26, an Annville, PA Air National Guard employee, said the man lied and told her he was new to town and a doctor, so she agreed to spend time with him. Penn Live reported. She says he brought her several drinks that night and got physical with her in his car, and she became so uncomfortable because of the questions he was asking that night, she started recording their conversation. Amid the man's sexual advances, she said no and asked him to stop, but she needed him to drive her home. At one point, she said he kissed her so hard it made her nose bleed, and they had to stop for tissues. However, the harassment continued, which she says resulted in rape. A GoFundMe launched to cover Rodriguez's legal fees says her audio recordings proves the encounter was non-consensual. 3 days later, Rodriguez reported the attack, but local police arrested her instead for filing a false report and wiretapping charges. Pennsylvania police dismissed the allegations because she didn't report them the same night she said it happened. Despite the fact the military dismissed the accused rapist, and she had an audio recording of the attack in which she can be heard telling him no and to stop. Police also said she had first told someone else the encounter was consensual, which is not uncommon for rape victims, and that she continued to contact the man, including sending him a topless photo, authorities failing to notice she was badly bruised in the picture, and she told him, "It looks like I've been attacked." Before she contacted the police, she also reportedly shared the audio recording with a friend who is a cop, asking him what should she do. After Rodriguez's charges were filed, the alarming situation went viral, and on Thursday, a Lebanon County judge signed a gag order preventing Rodriguez and her family from speaking publicly about the case. Rodriguez's GoFundMe says, over these 2 years, Veronica's family has endured immense stress, pouring thousands of dollars into fighting these baseless charges. Legal counsel, expert witnesses, and travel expenses have piled up, leaving her loved ones burdened with overwhelming debt. The financial strain is also added to the emotional toil this flawed investigation has taken on them all. The fact Rodriguez has been accused of recording and sharing the recording of the man without his consent in a rape case has elicited strong emotions on social media. So you can't record something that happened to you without your consent, unless the person violating your consent gives you consent to record something they're doing to you without your consent. I can't quite put my finger on it, one comment said. The whole "you're not allowed to be recording me" thing, I'm pretty sure that only applies when you're going to be uploading the video footage. So everyone has dash cams are collecting felonies, another TikTok post added. And finally, another said, "This brought me to tears." Rodriguez's story is developing, but it's encouraging to note her GoFundMe had a $2,000 goal, but as of this report, had raised more than $7,500 to help Veronica and her family cover the immense legal expenses and debt they've endured while fighting for her name, her dignity, and her voice. Her campaign page says. So, a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different occurrences, but all in the same peripheral arena of sexual assault. So, now that that's covered, top stories for Friday, December 20th, 2024. Number one, Biden to announce $4.28 billion in student loan relief for 55,000 borrowers. Next one on top stories. House Republicans agree on Plan B government funding bill with Trump's debt limit increase. Millions of people might get expanded Social Security benefits. Who are they and how would it happen? Excuse me. Trump transfer all his DJT shares to his revocable trust, SEC filings show. Next one, as government shutdown looms, here's where federal workers will be most affected. ICE deportations hit highest level in a decade. Report. Biden admin officials notice stamina issues in president's first few months in office. Another report. But at the time that these statements were being made, I think I did mention it here on the sideshow. He had a schedule that ran almost from dawn to midnight. And I think that would have wore on anybody. So I just wanted to put that in as a footnote. Georgia appeals court removes Fani Willis from Trump's 2020 election case. As you know, early this year, there was a lot of back and forth about Fani Willis, the case, the other man, Davis. And there was a lot of relationship things that came back and forth that may have kind of blurred the lines, but really had nothing to do with any legal malfeasance. It was just, if I may, just poor personal judgment. But none of that actually affected the legal status of the case. Now she's been removed from it. But the case is still pending. So they're going to just have to find somebody else to put in there to pursue it. So the case is not going away. She has just been removed from presiding over it, just so we have a kind of understanding of it. Biden administration reverses course, reopens income-based student loan repayment programs. And then the last one, 10 of the top stories. Neil Cabato, frequent Trump target, exits Fox News after 28 years. This is Friday, December 20th, a few days before Christmas, Wednesday. This is a sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker. That's it. Hashtag